Make a vibe to this. Make a vibe to this. Make a vibe to this. Make a vibe to this.
So you think it's rough when you have that day. It seems like nothing's going your way. But I'm here to tell you it ain't over till it's over, yeah. You can't let no one break the stride. What you need is to look inside and keep rising. Straight to the top, babe. Don't you let nobody stop you. Don't you let nobody stop you. Keep on rocking, don't you stop it. Keep on rocking, don't you stop. Keep on moving, don't stop moving. Straight to the top. Oh, keep on rising, straight to the top, baby. Nobody's standing in your way. Straight to the top, baby. Ain't no stopping us now. Ain't no stopping us now.
Put your mic on, Phil. Hello, guys. How are we doing? Thank you for jumping on and welcome. Welcome along. Managed to nip off work a little bit earlier today because it was freezing in work and my dexterity was diminishing. Yes, people, my dexterity was going big time, and I've got at this point to give a massive respect to ground workers on site, otherwise known as civil engineers. Man, they are hardcore. They are hardcore for working in these conditions and getting on with it, working in miserable, cold, and wet weather. Yes, Rob, I am fine, sir. How are you? Hope you are good. Friday, no matter what is going on in the world, Friday. Can't take that away from you, can they? You can't take away that Friday feeling. Even Mr. Wancock can't mandate that out of society. So I hope you're doing well. It's a subject that I'm going to cover today that is very sensitive in some regions. Don't have to be. It's quite simple, really. You know, wrong is wrong, dark is dark. But because of the nature of it, yes, Betsy. Hello there. You all right? Good to see you. Thank you for jumping on. It's one of them subjects that it's like, whoa, but it needs to be addressed. The very reason why people divert it and people don't really want to give their true convictions is the very reason why it's been led to go as far as it's gone and create so many survivors. Whether it's PC or people just not standing up and owning liberalism, Marxism. There's so many different titles you could probably give as to the reason why this has become a hot bleeding potato, but it shouldn't be. It definitely shouldn't be. Hey up. Mate, Rob, we're on the same page. In our little world, we're going raving this weekend, Rob. You know what I mean? That's our little world, and we're going to have a blast. It's going to be mint. It's going to be mint. You know what I mean? No matter what, you've got to create your own little nice, happy little world. And whatever world, any individual watching this now, create your own little nice little me space and have a freaking rave in it. Have a blast. Do whatever you're gonna do, you know, and then you'll be a better person because of it. Yes, Betsy. Talk about the JQ. When you say JQ, I don't know what you're referring to there. For it might be me being a bit stupid. Apologies, but yeah, I'm not sure what JQ is. But yeah, so I mean, I've covered this for when I first got into this. It was for very different reasons. It was just a wrong. Someone deciding to bomb innocent children. It was wrong. You don't put that in a paradigm. You don't put that in a skin tone as a race issue. You don't politicize it. And then you don't maliciously beat down anyone who wants to critique it and then place them in a box, which you could argue may drive them a bit more underground in their mindset, a bit more fundamental in their mindset. Oh, look, a bit more radical in their mindset in the worst extremes. Isn't that funny? Because that's the very thing that is causing this in the first place. To me, this isn't a person, a Muslim per se. This is an individual that is interpreted what he wants to or she wants to interpret as their version of what that book talks about. Albeit them prints being in there. That interpretation then leads to radicalization and a separation from the rest of the peaceful Muslim world and society. Now, there's many issues with this. There's too many facets for me to cover, and I'm not qualified anyway. So with this, I'm going to split this up into different segments. I'm going to be talking with different people I know, trust, and love. Tony Bugle being one of them, Brit Girl being another. Hopefully get Janaea on there, and possibly more. People I know that I've seen, particularly what I've seen over the past few years, me being a YouTuber, covering various aspects of this off and on, interviewing survivors and having that, the thought of what someone's gone through, and on a selfish level, now you knowing that information, you can't undo it. So that changes your perception on paradigms, on race, on what it makes it right and wrong. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to look at the debate that was brought up. Oh, here we go. JQ is a topic that gets your channel deleted on YouTube. Small hat tribe, lots to for sure. Certainly live under. Really, is a topic that gets your channel deleted on YouTube. What small hat tribe? Right, I shall look into that. I shall look into that and have a little look to see what's going on. Haters are going to hate, aren't they? And that's been part of the problem with this. Haters are always going to hate. They're not always going to agree with your point of view. And I don't like every individual's point of view either. The one thing I won't do is call for them to be shut down, call for them to be attacked, incite any kind of malicious or vindictive behavior or violent behavior against any of them. Words are words. I was brought up with sticks and stones may break my bones, but you know, all that kind of stuff. So I don't buy all that. You can rise above it. What I do say is let them have a voice for two reasons. One, if you don't, you will drive that inquisitive, what maybe starts off as an inquisitive critique, you'll drive it to darker realms and you create echo chambers that then go totally dark, which is dangerous. And two, if you do feel that the people that are saying what they're saying is extreme, is external from your version of society, then give them 2 minutes on air anyway, and no one will want to know what they're talking about because they won't relate to it. And see you later. You know, you let a man on a soapbox say what he's got to say, people will either tell him they like what he's saying or they'll walk off. As long as that person, whoever it is, has got the eloquence and the articulation to deliver the information without hatred or malice behind it. So I guess it depends on the activist or the person speaking up. What's their motive? What is their motive? Are they coming from a position of being honest and balanced and just try to see and try to understand and question? Or have they got an axe to grind? Or are they being financed? Or has their ego got the better of them? Yeah, it's a difficult one. So then it becomes hard for the subber to wonder whose information to buy into. So this is where your own intellectual standing up, your own, instead of idolizing people and just going, well, I watch their videos, so they're right, so I'll support them. Do that yourself. You know, be answerable to what you believe in. Don't be answerable to what another YouTuber believes in, because that can get you in shit. Then all you're doing is putting your eggs in that one basket and you're dependent on that individual. If that individual doesn't carry themselves over well, that's going to make you look bad as well as them look bad. And it's going to nose up the whole argument. So there's been parts of that have been going on over the past few. Honestly, this is so in depth. This is why I need the girls. I need the Beverly sisters on it. I need the Bugle. I need the Brit Girl, and I need the Janeo, because they've all had massive insights over the years, and we've all had the ups and downs as well. And I believe the door is probably going to not, maybe not, got away with it. Looked like it was. So yeah, it is one of them. It's a fascinating subject. It's a pity that this debate had to come in the way it did, because it's almost like they were forced to talk about it. This has been going on for decades. It's created thousands, tens of thousands of survivors. Abuse on a wider scope has created millions of survivors. Is enough being done? Do people really want to scratch to the top level of where this is coming from? Is there any people stifling any progress in that along the way on that pyramidic level? Do people want to approach the subject open-heartedly? Paedophilia is a taboo subject, although it's the one thing that no one would want to happen to their children or anyone they know. So that's the weird one. The one thing that you don't want to happen to anyone, because you know what it's all about, but the one thing you don't want to speak up and support people or politicize it where you're going out your way to stop someone else talking about it, to the point you ban them, to the point you demonetize them. Does that help the survivors playing it that way? So this debate really, it, as much as I thought, all right, nice. It's nice that you've listened to the public and well, not listened. You've been told to bring it up, because if the debate reaches a certain number, then you have to bring this up. You didn't want to bring it up. You've all been treating it like a hot potato. Oh, I wouldn't say all. That is semantically incorrect, because there will be inner strifes within that as well. there'll be inner strifes within the Houses of Parliament, the police force, the care system, in order for the truth to come out about this. So it's a real big shit show, in it. And you've got PC, you've got liberalism that stifled it. So it's a shame. I've got a series of these clips that I've divvied out, and the debate lasted quite a while. There were several people who spoke. I can't say I know them all. I'm just listening to them one by one. Roughly speaking, each speaker gets about 4 minutes, something like that. But some did exceed that. Now, that's a bigger question as to why. But same again, I'm going to try and walk through at least a couple of clips today. And with the view of when the Beverly sisters come in, sorry girls, Brit Girl, Chineo, and Tony Bugle. I want to run through some other clips with them and get their insights and their thoughts and whatnot as well. So yeah, we'll see. It's a wake-up call, without a doubt. Without a doubt, when you look at the damage that it's done and still doing, and abuse, the infrastructure that's in place to, let's start, prevent it, to educate people on all levels, you know, as in the people that are most susceptible to fall in the trap of being groomed. What type of lifestyle is prevalent within the survivors? Is there something that could be worked on there? More to the point, the biggest topic is not being afraid to call out who's doing it. If it's black, it's black. If it's white, it's white. If it's Middle Eastern by origin, Muslim based, then you've got to call it out. You're not going to get any changes by dodging it, treading on eggshells. And I think what these guys are going to present in their little 4-minute speak on their version of how things have gone and the failings, yeah, that might be right. And there might be one or two of them that really champion getting this out. But the fact that they're sat there and they've not put their career on the line and spoke out, but then on a contradictory level, on a probably a slightly hypocritical level, the same again, this is only my opinion, they seem to come from the position that they love condemning individuals that have covered this. They love castigating and classing that as solely far right. Almost to the point where they're going to blame them, the far right, whoever they are, for no development in this. Now, if there is a far right, if there is a malicious group like the bogeymen that has stopped this happening, they haven't got political sway. They're not in the halls of power. They're not the ones that can bring up motions, bring up talking points, and actually look out for the hundreds of thousands of survivors. If there is indeed a far right, you've probably got a mixture within people who are wary, people who are genuinely racist, who are confused, who, you know, can't see the bigger picture, and people that are being shoved into an echo chamber and compacted. This is all 9/10 psychological. If you keep calling someone something, you know, we've seen it. We've seen it with the Trump thing. We've seen it with Brexit here. We've seen it with this issue all the bleeding time. Yes, no more happy snowy afternoon, Phil Maddow. Well, it's not snowing here. It's actually a nice, bright day, but it is freezing. Absolutely freezing. I had to come out of work. My fingers were going numb. My toes were going numb. I was hobbling off site. Couldn't believe it. I had a conversation with a groundsman that made me feel like a pussy. He did. And he didn't do it on purpose because he explained that he's hardcore. He's done this shit working outside for 18 years. Although I'm working in a plot that's got no power, it's bloody freezing. I'm still not working outside. And he just put it down to an extra pair of socks. And I'm like, man, balls of steel. Balls of steel. Yes, Sarah. How you doing? Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sarah. Yeah, Parents Against Grooming. Linda Phillips Award was given out. What by Billy? Parents Against Grooming? What? There should be an award. Linda Phillips, if no one knows, Linda Phillips was a staunch activist for historic sexual crimes that had happened in Rochdale, primarily at Knowlview School, and then on a wider scale, just abuse that was generally happening in the school system, the social care system. Coming from a personal experience because her son was a victim of abuse at Knowlview School. And the information that that dear lady had and has is explosive. And she was resilient and she never gave up. My heart goes out to the Phillips family. Yeah, by the team. Brilliant. And who was the award given to? Went to a gent who was being proactive in keeping kids safe and working for the team, I think. Excellente. That's nice. It's nice. Linda's memory does have to be remembered. It does. For what she stood for. You know, Martin Deegan is another one that the memory has to live on, you know, for what they stood for and what they were trying to do. The voices need to be allowed. You know what I mean? They need to be supported. So for me, it's a beautiful thing that PAG have done that. Well done to them. Kudos to them for doing that, to be fair. You know what I mean? Keeping Linda's memory alive, which is beautiful because she was a strong individual. She was a resilient individual. What did they call her? Was it Mrs. or what was it? The name, the nickname? Yes, Rob. Okay, okay. Well, big up to Pag for that. Big up to Pag for that. That's brilliant. And Linda Phillips, Pag UK. Honestly, well done. Well done. Wesley, our big Wes. Wonder how he's doing, our Wes. Good. Wesley's a good kid. And Wesley's another one. He does a lot. He does a lot of campaigning. He's forever getting in touch with me. He's a good friend of Billy's and the team at PAG. But he does his own thing, if I remember rightly. The man, him and his dog, he cherishes his little dog more than the world. I tell you, anyone fucks with his dog, you honestly, big problems are going on. And that guy will walk the highest mountain in order for a good cause. And he's done it repeatedly. And if anyone remembers, Billy and I, along with many others, we took a walk up to a summit, Copper Summit in the lakes, I do believe, one of the highest elevational points. And it was good. I streamed it. We got right to the top, right to the peak, and it was ice capped and everything. It was mad because we had different temperature changes. We had different oxygen levels. It was fucking crazy. Grass at the bottom, ice peak at the top. And we'd done it all in one day, got back down in one day. Man, it nearly wired me out, but it was a brilliant experience. Long story short, it was Wes who organised that. Wes was the man. He couldn't wait. He was buzzing. He was legging it up there, and everyone was like, "Whoa, really?" We're just seeing the peak at the top. That was brilliant. That was a brilliant day. And if anyone wants to see it, it is on the page, the actual stream that we all done it. And there was a great set of lads on the day. We had a top laugh. Yeah, I did. It was amazing. It was great. It was great fun. And to be fair, I think more of that should happen with organisations. You know, good causes, good awareness, raise some money, keeps the people involved fit, and people watching it want to see that person strive and reach that personal goal as well. So it's like a win-win-win, and it's positive as well. So I think it's like a nice little merry-go-round. Yes. Hello there, mate. British Reactor 2. Hope you're doing good. And thank you all for listening to that little half an hour mad little intro. Like I say, I'm going to show a couple of clips. And then I'm going to invite the ladies, maybe one by one, and we'll just reconvene, and they can come from their standpoint, because I can only come from a certain standpoint. I'm not scholarly in the edicts of Islam, Catholicism. I don't have nothing to do with any of them. I totally appreciate and respect people who follow either of them. It's not an issue to me, as long as you're a decent person inside and you've got light in you and you're all about the prosperity of the human being stood beside you, no matter the colour of the skin or the religion or the faith they may follow. You know what I mean? It's not an issue. You know, if that puts you in a good spot, put you in a good spot. Great. I just don't like people who take any of them edicts and any of them interpretations, because the books are interpretations, and then interpret them to give them justification to radicalize their own ass. Bang out of order. Don't then start preaching that shit to people, whether you be a Catholic, whether you be a Muslim, whether you be a staunch frigging Christian. Now, you know, it's all one and the same. There's elements of beauty within all of them. But, you know, don't get too hardcore, because you're going back on society. You're actually losing the very point why the conception of that ethic is there, that edict, you know, that way of thinking, that ideology, whatever you want to call it. Yes, mate. Doing all right, sir. Doing all right. He is a top lad. And if you do ever speak to him, Sarah, tell him I said hello. Tell him I said hello. And all the PAG team as well. So, right, let's crack on with this. See what we got. This is, like I say, it's a debate that happened a week or so ago. Long time coming. Promises were made and information's not been handed over. And basically, primarily, it's not being afraid to talk about the characteristics within this element of rape to young children, otherwise known as grooming. But grooming doesn't just specifically should be attributed to this. Grooming comes in all shapes and forms, and grooming is done by all shapes and forms and all colours, all ethnicities, all religions. It really is. What I'm doing now is a form of grooming because it's me trying to outlay some information. Now I've got to be mindful that if I'm doing that, I've not got an ulterior motive in the back of my mind that's trying to steer you somewhere, with you not knowing the ulterior motive in the back of my mind. That's where your grooming changes course. Teaching someone is grooming them. It's positive. If you're instilling positive information over a period of time, you're showing them the way. You are grooming them to a better position. So we don't want to mislead with that term grooming. That it's only a true. This is my opinion, that grooming per se is only attributed. It wasn't so long ago that Billy and I were talking about grooming that was taking place in chicken shops, that was recruiting black individuals to then go out leading a life of crime, selling drugs and thinking that they're bad men. That's grooming. And it was pointed out that the areas where this was happening was chicken shops. Chicken shops. Now, whether there's a racist connotation to that or not, I'm sure they sell kebabs and burgers as well. But the fact that they use chicken shops tells you something else. So, yes, Great Brits in the house. Brilliant. I see where you're going with it, mate. That was quite funny. I see where you're going. Oh, yes, Tracy, my dear. How are we doing? Had a nice conversation with you today. Thank you for the links, which I'm going to catch up on and whatnot. But thank you for that little connection. And I'm going to give you all the help in order to get yourself up and running on YouTube. You know what I mean? So, yes, Ros P. Yeah, chicken shops over here too. That's the pandemic, innit? What go on in your local chicken shop? Eh? It ain't just your frigging McChicken, is it? Anyway, right. Yes. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Right, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it, guys. I'm going to play parts of the parliamentary debate. It's going to have the speaker at the very beginning. I'm probably going to go through 2 or 3 clips today because they're each 4 minutes, and I'm probably going to say something after that. But yeah, you've got then a speaker is going to get up, explain from their position, and they're going to sit back down again. And then that's the point. I'm going to come back in and kind of give my idea of what I think of that clip, and then interject that with some comments as well. So just if you bear with me 1 second while I just get my head in gear. And where's it gone? Where's it gone? Don't matter. We'll use this. All right. Red Pill Phil on YouTube. Yes, right. Hopefully the sound will be good to go. Please let me know in the comment section if the sound is okay here, because I don't want to come out if the sound is not happening. Right, okay. So let's see what we got here.
Abrams.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, tackling violence and sexual exploitation has been one of my priorities since I was first elected in 2011, when, during my roundtables with constituents, I was first made aware of child sexual exploitation concerns following the Rochdale grooming gang scandal. It's not an easy subject to discuss. I just find it incredibly difficult to even think about someone who is knowingly abusing a child for their own pleasure. But we know it happens in every community, and in every part of the country. And we all have an obligation to do what we can to prevent it and root it out wherever we find it. I have a clear protocol to immediately escalating any CSE cases that are brought to me with the appropriate authorities. And unfortunately, my team and I have dealt with a number of cases. Greater Manchester Police provide me with regular briefings on activities undertaken by Operation Messenger and now Project Phoenix, who specifically deal with CSE across Greater Manchester. I meet regularly with local groups such as Keep Our Girls Safe and the Women's Child Project, which stands for Care, Help and Inspire, but it has a wider remit that support girls and women experiencing abuse, as does Inspire Women. And pre-pandemic, when I was doing at least one school a week visit, I used this as a platform to promote equality, self-awareness and resilience of all children, whatever their background, sex, ethnicity or religion. I also meet regularly with Oldham's Interfaith Forum, and together we have worked to promote human rights for all, including the rights of our children. In Parliament, I'm a member of the CSE cross-party group chaired by my honourable friend, the member for Rotherham, who I congratulate for all she's done to expose CSE there. We have heard from those who have been abused and reviewed evidence of good practice amongst other things, but as the member for Ipswich has just mentioned, I'm keenly aware that understanding the scale and extent of CSE, in particular CSE associated with grooming gangs, is unknown. As the library report has identified, it only becomes known once the cases are identified and victims and offenders are reported. And it's estimated that only 3 out of every 4 victims of rape or assault of someone under 16 don't come forward and report it to the police. In a recent Home Office report, about 10,500 cases were flagged as potentially CSE related. The victims of CSE were said to be mainly young women, predominantly 14 to 15 years old, who had a number of risk factors that made them vulnerable for exploitation. Group-based CSE offenders were said to tend to be male and under 30, younger than those offenders acting alone, who were said to be more prolific. Clearly, these data are inadequate, and the focus of the Home Office on this important issue needs to sharpen up. Every child matters, and their rights as enshrined in the UN Convention to the Convention to which the UK became a signatory in 1990 need to be actively embodied.
Joking? Have I just been rattling on with no bleeding sound? I do apologise, right? Got comments. Jesus. Oh, right. I give a thumbs down if it gets his attention. Oh, mate, I've got my phone off. Sorry. Boo, 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 boom, boom. Silly me. It's silly. Right, so I'm going to get into your comments. What do you think of that? Because I'm not going through all that again. What do you think of that? Oh, Jesus Christ. Apologies. Apologies. I come straight in. And what I have to do, you see, when I go from video clip, to stop any bouncing back of sound, I have to disable my sound. And it's not something I've been conditioned to be doing. So I have to recondition myself to mute and then unmute. And all that was, I jumped back in thinking I was unmuted. So I do apologize. So anyway, what do you think of that clip? That very well, if you were lip reading, I guess everything was sweet. So no, what I was basically saying, it's great that these politicians are, yes, I was just going to put that. These politicians are talking of the great things that they're doing in order to combat. But don't be afraid to talk about the elephant in the room. And the consequence of their very existence in that debate is that they've been dodging, they've been treading on eggshells with this topic. They've been, whilst doing that, pushing an uber diverse, I wouldn't say agenda, but a diverse way of living, which is great. We all want diversity. But that diversity is only going to be believed and people are only adopt wholeheartedly if they can see that all demographics are being adhered to within that diverse group. And I think the problem for me is that too much attention has been put to the protection of certain groups, where it is left other groups to be vilified when they can see hypocritical behavior, when they can see double standards. And that is not me being an Uncle Tom. That's not me being a Nazi. That's just me proudly explaining that I don't care what demographic it is. Bad is bad. Bad is bad. Could be a white person that's done a heinous crime, which I'm all too, and like you guys, we're all too easy and quick to go, right, let's talk about it. Jimmy Savile. The national outcry for Jimmy Savile. You know, I don't see people protecting their white skin color there because how can you? Dark energy was dark energy. That fucker, what he'd done, where he'd gone in his mind to actually think that that is normal. So people comprehend that. We're all beautiful souls, we know. You don't need a single victim to actually speak up, you know. So when the same thing happens, and it just happens to be another demographic, why should the rules change on how you can be outraged? Why has the go-to position got to be, well, you are only outraged because of the skin color? You don't say that about Jimmy Savile. No, should you? I get you, Bart, and I'm just saying abuse per se, sir. I'm not, you know what? There's categories of all manner of different crimes. So yeah, I'm not saying it's a competition. I'm talking about abuse because let's face it, the one thing that people get slammed down with is that old nutshell. Well, paedophilia seems to happen more prevalently in the white society than black. Are you fucking real? The only way you can actually come to that hypothesis is because we live in a predominantly white society. So what about Pakistan, where paedophilia will be prevalent? Have you got the argument there? What about India? Have you got that argument there? What about the villages of fucking Nairobi? Have you got that argument there? So it's redundant and it's stifling. And part of that bullshit is that why you've got these, for me now, politicians coming out and going, yeah, it is bad. You knew it was bad. You know, when you're getting headlines for year upon year upon year, pictures. Oh, we better not show the face. We better not show the ethnicity. We better not show what fucking faith they were. We better not show that they were called Muhammad. What is that going to do? But as soon as a white paedophile, get his ass on camera. Narrative based. And that's been part of the problem. So these little 4-minute presentations from these politicians, for me, the intentions of each individual may be there. But in terms of true conviction, they're running on half empty. Because they're sat in the high pillars of power where they should have done more. All of them should have done more. It's sick. This corrupt system has purposely created a fragmented society because a united society is a bigger threat. Divide and conquer. Well put, sir. We can't even agree on which shoe to tie the shoelaces first. That's how divided we are. If a case come up for a woman being raped, the outrage tends to come from the women's societies. Quite rightly so. Why is it not coming from every goddamn human being? Why does it have to be women standing up for women? Why does it have to be then men defending their position? Why can we not say that is wrong? Until we can sort our little differences out on a societal, gender, race, because we've all played our part in falling for the identity politics, we can't even agree whether we want garden peas or mushy peas. So topics like this, it's almost embarrassing to watch distinguished gentlemen and women expressing themselves here with absolutely no fight towards going towards the root cause of this. The characteristics, predominantly who's doing it? Why are they doing it? Why do they interpret their own faith to such an nth degree? Why are they making the rest of their faith look bad? Why are we, through PC, condemning anyone who wants to critique it? Whether they are articulate, eloquent, or not. One shoe fits all. You're all a bunch of racists. And that's the product of it. I don't know what analogy was. What? Garden peas and mushy peas? Fuck it is. And for the sake of it, I want mushy peas all day long. The root cause is lack of debate. Without it, you cannot move forward. You're right. It'll only create more radicalization. And we've seen it. Without pointing the finger, I've seen YouTubers I've followed, I've seen YouTubers I've walked on marches with become more radical because they've walked the path of this and not risen above it, become a product of it. And I can understand why. And there'll be many factors as to why they fell for that. But I can see it. We can all see it. I've seen YouTubers run for the hills because they've been viciously attacked on this side. And that's all because they wasn't allowed a debate. So if they've seen something that's critical on this side because they can see it be detrimental further down the line, boom, they get the cannon shot at them. Okay, you'd all look for freedom of speech, are you? So I've seen it on all sides how it collapses and certain talking points. It's almost like we're better not talking about it. And meanwhile, we're saying that you've got more and more abuse, more and more grooming, ritual abuse, hate speech. They'll throw that at you. But then, same again, you keep telling someone that they're horrible, they're going to turn into a horrible person. They're going to do that. So if you're telling someone every time they open their mouth, they're full of hate speech, they're full of intolerance, and you ostracize them from society, they're going to put it down. They're going to find half a dozen mates that don't mind listening to what they've got to say, and they'll find strength in their own way. Boom, you've got an underground there. You've created it through lack of debate, through lack of having the balls and wanting to create this facade of everything's fucking great, while the underbelly of everything that's going on is bullshit. It's the same with Black Lives Matter. Everyone taking the knee and, oh, we're showing our... Yeah, you are. Maybe you are. But at the same time, you're not owning it. You're not owning the underbelly that's being created on both sides here. So what are you doing? Are you gaslighting people? Yes, Stefan. How we doing? Andre, it's Andre. Evil is sin. It's inherent in Western societies until men stop watching porn, nothing. It's inherent within, it's inherent within society. I don't think any society, I mean, unless you're a Tibetan monk, I mean, you know, unless you're a Buddhist, there's only one or two certain societies that I could actually say where there's an element of truth with that. I mean, you know, what? The caste system is still alive and kicking in many third world countries. You know, the way you can treat an individual, the way life is cheap in other places other than Western society is still there, it's still breathing, it's still alive. Can't argue with that. It's not just us, it's a societal problem. But yeah, I will agree with you and appreciate that Western society, we've become, for me, my opinion, lazy, gluttonous, greedy, and to a degree, stupid, stupefied. If you're talking on previous technologies, on previous civilizations, and previous spiritual growth, we're down. We've dropped. It's like the ladder was up there, and all of a sudden the runs have just disappeared, and we've gone right back down. We've not hit the bottom. It's like we've got 3 runs that have stopped us breaking our fucking ankles. And that's my opinion. You might not agree with it. Yes, Janea. Are you diddling? Do you want to jump in, Janea? I'm just going to run. Yes, Andre. I'm going to run through a couple of clips. Don't want to go too long. It's nearly an hour now, and I do want to get other guests on this, namely you being one of them, and the Bugle, and the Brick Girl. And I'm sorry, Janea. I'm going to say it. I've made you into a girl group. You know, the Beverly Sisters. The Beverly Sisters. So, don't know whether you're going to unsub for that. Don't blame me if you did. But, you know, you know what? I'm not saying that's a taboo subject. I ain't talking about porn on here now. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's 3:30. And I'd rather I come on here to talk about something else. You know what I mean? So, oh, what the hell? Here we go. Here we go. To understand how Western society has fallen so low, learn about the Frankfurt School. Yeah, infiltration, spike. Instead of letting society just flourish and gently guiding it in the right way. It's mad, isn't it? If you've got the right ideals and you're in charge of observing society and making sure it maneuvers to reach the stars, that's what you actually thought you were buying into. But then when you think, nah, man, there's a lot of toxic information. There's a lot of purposeful toxic information to send you along the wrong side, send you down a darker path, a slower path, a non-rising path, spiritually, and probably ultimately a dehumanizing path. A path that is eroding what is the human being. I mean, we talk about AI, but even before AI comes in, we're practically AI now because we are so dehumanized. As to the factors, music, TV, whatever you want, porn. I'm not a ballistics expert, but it might be the porn. Oh, do you know what? New hobby, love it. Hi, people, great. I'm actually just walking up the street. Right, well, do you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm going to show one more clip, right? And then I'm getting out of Dodge because I've got some washing and all kinds of stuff. But how about we come in and you come in on one, even with Tony, because Tony is a bit predisposed at the moment, height of Tony, and also height of Brit Girl. They're both feeling under the weather at the moment, so I'd like to give them loves and good vibes at the moment, but we'll have to fit you in somewhere around that. Get you in. Get you in. It's up to you. Yes, Bart. Here we go. Here's Rob. Sorry, got smoke. No, I haven't got it. I'm choosing to. Different cultures have varying values. The problem we are experiencing right now is the integration of cultures to the extent we are experiencing globally. And I think what you're trying to say, Rob, and I totally get you, is expecting all them cultures just to go, everything's beautiful, we're all gonna work together. Some people like beheading, some people don't. Some people like ripping chickens' heads off, some people don't. And it's as stark as that, probably stupid examples, but this is where you're not actually trying to say, well, you know what? We in this society do this. We love everyone, even the piss and haters, right? If you come in to my house, these are the rules of this house. This is the ethic in order to build a prosperous society, right? It's up to you. We're there to your culture, allow you to flourish within your culture. As long as you remember, integration is paramount, very paramount. Mixing within the society and adopting the cultures of this land, as well as cherishing the cultures of your motherland. You know, if you put it like that to most people, I don't give a jack doodle if you come from wherever. And most people are like that. That's why, in many ways, we have got a society that can work on a diverse level. When you've got different diverse groups that bear that in mind, instead of coming here cock happy, thinking that everyone's got to kneel down because of my demands. I ain't going to China and I ain't going to go and tell them, well, listen, yeah, I come over here, and this is how we do it in Miles Platting, right? I'm living like this in the middle of fucking China. You can say what you want, but you haven't got the right. I'm Miles Platting, born and bred, and you can't touch me. What do you think will happen within 2 minutes of that statement? Tasered, dropped to the floor, never seen again. Fucking simples, innit? Pardon my French. So I ain't going over there and chatting that shit. Just like, don't be coming over here chatting that shit either. We're all a civilization. We've all got to get along. Bad example, maybe, but with integration of culture, we should be allowed to criticize each other. Unfortunately, we are told we cannot criticize some cultures. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with it. I'd agree with it. And I think anyone who's honest with themselves would have to agree. You'd have to. You'd have to. I love Muslims. Know many Muslims, black, and what you would class as Arab Muslims, Middle Eastern Muslims. Fucking love them down to the ground. We have many chats on many subjects, and they enlighten me because it's not all what it seems. And they live their life how they see fit. Not everyone is living the full, you know what I mean? Everyone's got their own little variant on how they want to do it. I've heard some stories getting pissed up and everything. And it's great because all of a sudden we can chat. They're not on their high ground and I'm not on my high ground. How can Adam what? But if you come, like, well, I read this book tells me this. So this book makes me a bit more superior to everything else that's around me. Don't be coming into Miles Platting chatting that shit. Don't. You come in, you adopt Miles Platting for what it is, and I guarantee Miles Platting will love you for it. And that would be the same as if you were Polish, if you were bleeding Lithuanian, or if you were fucking Greek. Don't isolate yourself from society, because that's what you're doing when you're doing that. Stop it. Sorry, Phil's going crazy. The media and the government always say we have to trust the science until biology, right? Okay. Yeah, that's slightly off topic a little bit, but I agree with you. I do agree with you. So let me go to another clip. Let me go there. I have to go in there. And then I am bear with me, folks. That was the first. I guess it's that one. Right. So this is hopefully in the order in which it was.
Deputy Speaker, it's a pleasure to follow the honourable gentleman who gave an incredibly thoughtful speech. Last year, local authorities recorded nearly 19,000 victims of child exploitation. If we consider this over the last few decades, the total numbers of survivors will be staggering. One of the petitions we are discussing today specifically calls for an inquiry into child sexual exploitation. It is clear that a cross-government approach is needed to deal with this issue, deliver justice and support survivors. And I would like to focus my remarks today on survivors. Sammy Woodhouse is a survivor of child sexual exploitation. She has bravely spoken publicly about her experiences, and I met with her yesterday to discuss Sammy's Law. Sammy's Law is a simple ask of the government not to criminalise child victims of exploitation. When Sammy was 15, the police raided the property of her abuser, who's now a convicted serial rapist. Sammy was half naked and hiding under his bed. He was not detained, but Sammy was arrested and charged. She is a survivor of exploitation, but is now forced to disclose her criminal convictions. Survivors like Sammy are forced to commit crimes by their adult abusers,
and are often not convicted of their crimes. Those criminal convictions stay with them for life. They are forced to disclose them to their employers on insurance applications and are even prevented from attending their parent-teacher associations. This cannot be right and it must be stopped. Child exploitation is an abuse of power used to coerce and deceive. Survivors should not be punished for crimes they committed because of their exploitation. So I'm today asking the government to introduce Sammy's Law, the right for victims of child sexual exploitation to have their criminal records automatically reviewed and crimes associated with their grooming removed. The High Court has already ruled that it is unfair to force survivors to disclose criminal records linked to their grooming, arguing the link between past offence and present risk is non-existent or extremely tenuous. This change in the law should be basic common sense. It would end the unfair victim blaming and re-traumatisation of victims and survivors. I urge the government to act today.
In terms of the victims here, what this lady's talking about, same again, is she's asking for a law to be introduced, which makes sense. In the early days of me covering this, there were so many times that you would hear them say, well, because of the conduct of the individual, is the information reliable? At what point was this lady, this girl in question, a willing participant in it all? So there were so many stories, wasn't there? Even the police had put out certain calls that not to be believed as such, and what is it, lifestyle choices? That nugget. What is the consequence of being treated like this? Now, you talk at a different spans. Grooming is a procession of time. If they've been violated, how many times, by how many people? What kind of lifestyle, what kind of underbelly did they enter in by doing that? So, of course, and if that individual may become what we would class as, or overtly to the police as, dysfunctional from society, then if that person still comes and tells you the story, that person should be heard and not assumed that, well, because you look a bit rough and the way you're talking, lifestyle choices, that is totally wrong in my regard. And what I will say, there's a chap Amir Maseed. How come you don't tell the truth, Red Pill Phil? Every single groomer in the UK is a Sufi or a Shia. I have not seen one Sunni Muslim do it. Well, I would hope you've not seen any Muslim do it, sir, because that would mean that you are complicit in watching the violation of an individual. So be semantical when you speak. So let's break it down. How come you don't tell the truth? I do tell the truth. I be honest with how I see things, how I appraise things. Might not be with your element of conformity bias, but that's how I see it. Right? Every single groomer in the UK is a Sufi or a Shia. Do you know that? I for sure can't say that. And I can't say that even with the ones that are currently convicted or being monitored, because I haven't got that information of you. Now, to extend it even further, the ones that are not discovered, the ones that are still hiding behind, I don't know. I can't honestly say that they're either Sufi or Shia, and that's it. As I do know, and I respectfully and decently say, Islam has got tens. In fact, I'm sure it's over 70 different sects of Islam. Now, from what I see, most of them are peaceful. So you've come on here, Amir, and the first thing you've done is accuse me of pointing the finger at Sunni Muslims. You're the one who's mentioned, Sonny. All I said was people who interpret the Quran to the fullest edicts radicalize themselves. I don't know whether that's Sufi, Shia, Sunni. I didn't make that claim. You're making that claim, and you're wrong to do that. And you're wrong to make that accusation to me in my regard. So this is the topic here, you see. This is why it becomes a hot potato. You've got to be careful. Well, same again. Are we being semantical on this stream, or are we going to inject words? Because I only work off semantics, and if you say one word wrong in a sentence, then I'll get you. I might not always pick up on it, but if we're going to go to that comment, you've made claims there that are totally untrue. What? It's daft. Was Jimmy Sophia? Exactly. So I don't know whether you meant it like that, mate, but I'm going to pick up on the point as if to say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What you're doing, it's almost like it's a little bit of paranoia there. Seriously? Should we get back to the point? Someone's doing this. Do you want to check out the book? This is the characteristics that we need to do. This is what the Home Office don't want to tell us. So it'd be nice if every convicted individual, you tell us what sect that you follow that agrees with this. Get it in that fucking book. Seriously? You can't touch that. That is truthful. And that's me still, after this stream, going to get me a pack of beers to sup with my wife tonight. I'm going to have a talk and a laugh and engagement with my local shopkeeper, who happens to be Muslim, who happens to be a beautiful individual, who might even be Pakistani Bangladeshi. But do you think I'm going to give him the baggage of this shit? No, because it has got nothing to do with him. So don't cross your wires here. People like to blame Islam. And you know what? I guess many people have done it, and I'm not one of them. So I'm not. But at the same time, I will call out the nasty elements. People like to bash black people, and I'm not one of them, clearly. But that doesn't mean to say when I'm seeing Snoop Doggy Dogg doing all this with his gang signs on an advert that's being projected to fucking millions of people, and you're showing them that is the course of action. The Crips, one of the most notorious gangs in America, that has been responsible for the killing and maiming of fucking thousands of black people. But then you've got the cheek to label black racism all on Trump for all his flaws. Own it. And that's not me being an Uncle Tom. That's just me being honest. Own it. Because other people can see it. And if you're not allowed them to critique it, if you're going to call them a racist straight off the bat, what the fuck is that about? It means that this is just going to fester, this problem. Seriously is. Oh, yes, because you can get views and fame for talking about this stuff. And it's happened. I've seen it happen. I can see people making money out of doing this. I can see people doing it for the right intentions, but ultimately not seeing the rub-off effect it has on society. And that's the careful thing. So you're right there, mate. And maybe that's why these politicians is like, because it's so like, intimidated, Don't be intimidated. Let's talk about this honestly. Let's not have hatred on the table. Let's not, even if it's 9/10 over there, there's still an element where this has got nothing to do with it. So let's be honest and truthful, and we can get all faiths to the table. The Jew hating that goes on at this moment in time, I'm like, what? I can't believe it. People have got their own theories, who runs the world, who, all that. Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't have that theory. But then adopt it into a rabbit hole that sends you on this spiral of literally going, well, if the Jews were running from country to country, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's called ethnic cleansing. Maybe it's just called some sick fuck just wants to beat down on someone else. So, as much as I can see the bad in elements of Jewish society, possibly, I'm also got to be balanced and go, well, I live 5 miles from Prestwich, predominantly Jewish society. They're more elevated, they live in a better household, but they're probably in better professional careers than me. Fair play to them. Okay, what, you know what I mean? I don't see any of them giving me shit. I don't see it. So why put myself in this little rabbit hole? Same talking about this, same talking about issues within Black society. Why? Grobnob is in the house. Well, welcome along, Grobnob, even though you don't have many good things to say about me, sir, but that's right. You're welcome to your opinion. Money rules the world. Every other theory is propaganda. Well, same again, that's coming from a position of I'm knowing it all, and I can't do that. The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. And honestly, we need to be humble in a sense that we're all trying to work out what go on, and we've all got to give each other room in our theory and in our opinions as well, haven't we? So if I come across like I'm the king dickhead, I know it all, and any of yous come out with something, I'm like, bash it to the side. How's that going to make you feel? That ain't allowing for discourse. That's just me going, even if I don't agree with you, I've still got to allow for you to say that, because that might make me think a week later, you know what? There's an element of truth. Maybe the way he delivered it. Maybe if he thought of it this way, but there's still a point to the general topic. I live in Prestwich, never had a wrong word with a Jew. First 20 years grew up in Oldham and was always problems with Muslims. My truth and still true to this day, 40 years later. You got a right to that opinion, sir, but I'd have to probably say not every Muslim in Oldham probably wants to do that either. But there is issues with isolationism, and probably every society does it in a sense to a degree, but you could argue some societies are guilty of doing it more than others, and some societies are told to do it more than others, I guess. All be one. Integration. Seriously? You're right. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. And we've seen that. Bear with me, guys. I do apologise. The door is a knocking. Yeah. Well, I was talking with Tony Bugle earlier. It's not about wanting to deplatform anyone. It's not ultimately about saying I want to speak to everyone as well. Allow people to have their own platform. allow people to speak. Don't literally want to close them down because they've had an issue. And I know Grubnob, you put a video out talking about why don't you then build up a consensus that will try and get my channel shut down because I've got a certain view, and I would not instill that on you, mate, whether I agree with you or not. So same as, isn't that funny? You put a video out doing that to me, and first thing I do is one, make a tune with that vocal in it, and two, put your comment up in anyway and agree with the actual talking point you're talking about. So same again, it's breaking down them levels. So with all the other channels and platforms, whether I agree or not, the public court of opinion will decide on whether they agree with it. Let people have their own intellect. Let them have their own ground. You know? Yeah, sorry, mate. It's kind of come at a bit of a flurry. I'm going to be doing another one on Sunday with Katie Jane Swallow, the Cocoa Morning. It has. To be fair, I've probably felt I've needed to do this more than actually sit and edit videos. Direct communication and just talk about the points directly a little bit. And it's a little bit of a sea change. I felt a little bit of an urge to do it over the past few days. And I've had a facility of having a lot of time to actually do it and do the prep as well for it as well. Yes, Gibbo, thank you very much. No, you did, mate. I'm not going to labour the point, but you did. I can actually get the video back. I've got it in my hard drive. You did, and it was a question of if he puts any material out on this certain subject, kind of flag his ass. So it's whatever. It don't really matter even if you'd actually done that, mate. I'm just making the point. You can't ultimately control what comes in anyway. Same again, it doesn't make me want to go out on the attack. Look, the way I dealt with it, I made a tune out of your vocal. So it was the positive spin on a negative scenario. And you can't always spend your time fighting the battles of the people who disagree with you. You know what I mean? All I can do is beam my energy forward on my point and have consideration and be able to talk. I mean, look, I've got someone here who fundamentally disagrees with me. And it looks like there might have been a Muslim who popped up not so long ago. And fuck it, let's get it out. It's not about hatred. Yes, Babs, thank you very much. Hey up, hey up. Yeah, so we don't want to go crazy with this. And, you know, I'm just bringing up certain key points, but we've got to keep it on check to the actual point. Well, there'll always will be an elite, I guess. I guess you've just got to inject positive intentions with the elite. You know what I mean? Whether that starts from grassroots, but it starts by us. It's almost like we as a society have got to pull our socks up and learn how to fucking work with one another again. And I'm not blaming any demographic for that, but that's the situation. On the street, we've been the product of what these elites, these people have done over time, innit? You know? So, right, let me get into one more video. I don't think changing the people in political power will change a thing. Well, people per se, I personally believe. Let's put it this way. If you had someone like who I'm going to show now, who didn't give a shit about the career, and who literally will go, well, you know what? I'll do a viral video just owning what's going on. And I might lose this job. Would that start a chain of events of people coming out? I mean, look at it this way. You've got, when you get a celebrity rapist that gets exposed, it might get exposed because of one or two victims, survivors that have spoke out. And then once it's been hit over the headline news, then that gives the strength and the courage for individual after individual after individual to jump out, and then it builds a bigger case, I guess. Is that not the same here? If you've got someone in politics that's showing they've got balls, if you see that even if they're tackling it, this subject with the consideration of all the demographics, but showing a sternness to be able to critique the good and the bad, promote the good, and obviously in order to sort out society, isn't that sexy within politics? If people can actually see that people are trying to do that and that is celebrated, wouldn't that make it a more go-to place for politics? Because I'm disillusioned with politics because of that very reason. Because you can't trust the corruption element that's within it. But then that to say that everyone within it is corrupt. No, there's a lot of complicit behavior. There's a lot of people in there that want to do the right thing that are stuck. So it's an ethic thing, isn't it? Why sell out? Why sell out? It's like when you're selling music for a living. You're making music. Why sell out and now dress as a fucking goat? Why do that? Why don't you tell the record company to shove the record deal straight up where the sun don't shine? And the goat outfit and the Baphomet shit, and go create your own organic new stuff, which will inspire. But going back to what we were saying, isn't this funny? Money. Money. Anything, anything. Anything for money. Lie for you, die for you. Even sell my soul to the devil. That's where we're at. The energy you put out, you get back. Yes, Lois, you do. Oh, Bart, bless you, sir. We're all on it. We're all on it. You know, this ain't leadership. It's just me chatting, and we all know it. So, in a sense, if you agree with me, you're a leader. We're all leaders. I don't do deism. I don't do people propelling. No, we're all there. That's why I love. Yes, Amanda. That's why I love engaging, bringing people into this chat. And that's why I love the fact that I've got such a fucking wicked chat that just people that are chilled, that can go up and down on different subjects, but not lose it and can see the point. Not always agree. You know, not always agree. Even if you agree with 60, 70% of what I'm saying. Whatever. Yes. Yeah. You know what? Let's get that up. I was thinking that before, Andre, and you know what? There's many ways why doesn't that sound macabre to say that? And that's not to say that you enjoy what's going on. No. I think what I feel. I think Lois is right. Still learning, seeing what's going on, realizing that the animation or the change in animational times that we've been hearing about for decades, that we may have thought were conspiracy, the decline of society, you can see it. This last little shift that has shifted society to another little direction. So we're in that realm that you probably never thought you would get to. You're in it. You're now in that movie. I mean, we was always in a movie. We were building up to that movie. I guess the movie was just a procession of documentaries. Now we're a full-blown fucking epic movie. And we're in it. So there's something weirdly beautiful about that. Your position within it is beautiful. Maybe there's a reason why. On a level, on a real level, your contribution to what is going on now, maybe there's a reason why it happened right now whilst you were living this experience. I don't fucking know. pardon my French, but I can't help but be animated in these times. Mm, mm. Something's not quite right. And the question only burns deeper and deeper. The moment you open that door to waking up, it's like, no way. Boom. It's like you've overstacked that cupboard and the cupboard just falls on you. And things are never the same. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But to be a part of the playground, to be a part of the circus, to be a part of the animated movie picture, it's fantastical. As well as it's sorry, as well as there's victims to it on either side, on all sides. And to try and maintain a position of centrality, neutrality, is fucking hard. And to say that I do that all the time, I'd probably be lying. I'm one individual. But we're trying because we want to get to the fucking true source. Pardon my French. That shared truth. The prosperity and the future of anyone's child is paramount in my head, as well as it is my child. You know what I mean? And if you've got a society that looks like that, you tap the other family on the shoulder and say, I've got you back, you're done. You sorted it. We're not there. We're not there. We're pushing each other away. And we're letting the press help you with that. Sad. Well, if you was listening, Grobnob, if you was applying, you would know exactly where I'm coming from. It's true. We're all at different levels as well, aren't we? Some are naturally more awake than others. Some are naturally more attuned than others. But ultimately, we all have that power. I'm going to go all psychic here, but we all have that psychic energy, do we not? Is it a question of how do you attune to it? Why are more people overtly susceptible than others? What's the deficiency in the people that are not showing their true clairvoyancy, their true third eye? We've all got it. We've all got a sense. We all walk down the street and the weirdest shit will happen. You'll be looking at someone, people watching, and instead of them looking in multiple directions, they'll look directly at you. What the fuck's that about? You might be having a conversation with a mate about a mate you need to ring, and that person will ring you, or just text you, or reach out within a day or so when you haven't spoke to them in 5 years, and you're thinking, is there such thing as a coincidence? You know, so there's something deeper. It is indeed, Lois. It is indeed. And there's something very glorifying about that journey. Do you not think, Lois? You know what I mean? It's hard and it never gets easier because it's a constant working battle. Like you have to recalibrate every 10 minutes with every conversation, with every interaction with someone. You have to literally, you know, and the demon is the information that's being thrown and you're not being intuitive on a connection with individuals. And that's the thing, isn't it? And that's the thing with this lockdown that is keeping you away. I mean, I know, Lois, that we're connecting now, right? I know if we're face to face, sat, we'll have a proper visual cosmic connection. Boom. Nothing to do with sexuality, nothing to do with whatever. It's a question of minds. I could have that same feeling with a a man. And this is the other thing Grobnob tried to dig me out on, the fact that I went to Jelly because I was speaking to Simone. No, Simone, who was at a march, who was talking very spiritual and very wise in her words. Man, her brain, I fell in love with the brain. Not with a body, not with aesthetics, but the way you interpreted it. And could only interpret it on a sexual tip. So that means that you're not as conscious as I thought you was, Grubnob, because people who engage on a level, whether it be man or woman, transcend that sexual shit. I'm in converse on a regular basis with predominantly women. I was speaking with Tony today, speaking with Tracy today, got a number for the first time. Dolly Daydream, Brit Girl, Janaea, Lindsay Rowley. Be speaking to her very shortly in the next few days. Nothing sexual, no innuendos, no kind of, oh, what are you doing later? No little texts in the background, just mind to mind. My wife knows all about it. Wife don't give a shizzle because she knows what vibe it's on. So for you to go there on, well, he's only doing that, that means you've got a low vibe there, dude. That means that you can't really connect with women unless you're thinking on a sexual nature. That's more for you to answer, not me, dude. Not me. You got about 5 views for it, mate. So you might have felt you got a laugh, but right, okie dokie. That's why no one watches your shit, because of where you come from. Phil only loved her from the neck up. Yes. Now you're getting it. Phil, was there a specific time or event that made you realize, or all this is not as it seems? Just curious. That is a good question. If I was to be really truthful, probably two things simultaneously hit me when I was growing up, probably from the age of 16, 17 onwards. I lost my mother 3 weeks before my 17th birthday. That played a massive part to grow up quickly. I started to question what was around me. I had very good guidance from an older brother, Paul. At that time, he was looking into ancient civilizations. He was very woke, very woke. This is 84, 85. He was constantly chatting to me about certain elements, try to raise me up. He was living in London, I was living in Miles Platin. He'd frequently come over and he would frequently try and raise my vibration because I'm stuck in Miles Platin. And he could see that if I didn't have that guidance, I would become a product of Miles Platin. So I began to get interested in UFO subjects and Egypt primarily. Egypt then scratched onto megalithic structures, ancient civilizations, then astronomically looking at where you are within the planet and just started expanding like that, really. 2001 kicked in, and that was another stark moment where I could see the game plan, as in orchestration, woke me up, as in things are not right. So I knew the narrative wasn't right before it actually reached adulthood, but I could not interpret it until later on in my adulthood. So probably that answers the question. You're winning the war if you truly stick up for your convictions. Great Brit, I agree. There's no loss here at any point. Your own personal strength is what is paramount. You don't lose an argument if you walk away. You don't lose a fight if you get a dig in the head and you decide that you want to leg it. He fights and runs away, lives to fight another day. And that's what we've got to, we've got to remember here. So, guys, I'm probably going to leave it there because I have waffled on for too long. I've covered 2 or 3 little clips there. I'm going to pick it up exactly. Oh, mate, it puts you in the timeline of where you are. You know, it does. It's fascinating. But yeah, I'm going to pick it up from where I left off next time. I'll know by the position of the videos. There's many more, and we've kind of diverted a little bit. That's why I need help to keep my ass in check and stop the commenters diverting me off. But I hope you've enjoyed the stream nonetheless. And it'll be another stream for someone to catch up to. And they'll be like, Phil, are you getting paid for this? Are you getting paid by the second? Because it's like you're getting commission all of a sudden. No, at some point, I'm going to just die of online exhaustion. You know what I mean? But yes, much love to everyone. Thank you. You love the sound of your own voice, Phil. I don't know whether to do, mate. I kind of love chatting, but no, maybe I do. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you you're on there, but I try and do it with the right intention and the right words come out as well. So always what I try and seek to do. Right, okay. So with that, guys, I'm going to bid you a goodbye. Thank you very much, Great Brit and all the other affiliates, Katie J. Swallow, for the use of this lovely StreamYard. All the positive YouTubers, keep doing what you're doing. All the great subbers, thank you very much. I will see you soon. Love you all, even the pissing haters.
I love you. 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 Even the pissing haters. I love you. 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 I love you.